His smile froze me mid-shot. In that instant, my straight life shattered forever. I stood there on the sun-drenched lawn of Stanford University, my Canon EOS dangling from my neck like a dead weight. The assignment had seemed simple enough when a university alumni office emailed me last week. Senior portraits for a handful of graduating athletes who needed professional shots for their LinkedIn profiles and family albums. I was 24, scraping by as a freelance photographer in San Francisco after moving west from my conservative Ohio hometown 2 years ago. Rent was brutal, my savings were thin, and this gig paid well enough to cover groceries for the month. I had photographed plenty of guys before, football players, debate champs, the usual all-American types, but none of them had prepared me for Ethan Thompson. He arrived exactly on time, cap slightly crooked, gown draped over one arm, wearing a white dress shirt that hugged his broad shoulders and made his California tan pop against the green grass. 6'2", dark hair tousled just enough to look effortless, green eyes that caught the sunlight like polished emeralds. The kind of guy you see in magazines and assume he has a perfect life. "Jake, right?" he said, extending a hand. His grip was firm, warm, lingering a half-second longer than necessary. "Thanks for squeezing me in. My mom's been nagging me about these for weeks." "No problem," I replied, keeping my voice steady even though my pulse had already kicked up. I positioned him against the iconic Stanford arch in the background, adjusted the reflector to soften the midday glare. "Chin up a little. Think of something that makes you happy." He nodded, then flashed that smile, wide, genuine, the corners of his eyes crinkling in a way that lit up his whole face. I pressed the shutter once, twice, but my hand started shaking. The camera felt slippery. Heat rushed to my face, and for one terrifying second, I forgot how to breathe. What the hell was that? I had a girlfriend. Sarah and I had been together since college back east. She was sweet, supportive, waiting back at our apartment with takeout Thai food and plans to watch the new Marvel movie tonight. I was the straight guy who played pickup basketball on weekends and never once questioned it. My dad still sent me Bible verses every Sunday about God's design for men and women. Yet here I was, unable to look away from Ethan's smile. It wasn't just attractive. It was disarming. It felt like it saw straight through the careful mask I'd worn my entire life. We finished the session in 40 minutes. I took over 200 shots, far more than I needed, because every angle gave me another excuse to study his face. When he thanked me and asked for my card so he could see the proofs, I handed it over without thinking. Our fingers brushed. That tiny contact sent electricity up my arm. "You're really talented, Jake," he said, slipping the card into his pocket. "I mean it. Most photographers just click and go. You actually make people look alive." I mumbled something about editing them by tomorrow and watched him walk away, gown swinging over his shoulder. The campus buzzed around me, students laughing, bikes whizzing past, but I stood rooted, heart hammering. Back in my car, I opened the raw files on my laptop, zoomed in on that smile. My throat tightened. I slammed the lid shut and drove home too fast, windows down, hoping the wind would blow the feeling away. Sarah greeted me with a kiss at the door. "How'd the shoot go?" she asked, stirring noodles. I lied and said it was fine, just another job. That night, I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, replaying Ethan's smile on loop. For the first time in my life, the word straight felt like a question mark instead of a period. I told myself it was exhaustion, the heat, anything but the truth. But deep down, I already knew. One smile had cracked the foundation I'd built for 24 years, and I had no idea how to rebuild it. The next morning, the email arrived. "Hey, Jake, love the previews you sent. My mom wants a couple family shots before commencement. You free Thursday afternoon? Same spot if that works." I stared at the screen for 10 full minutes. Say no. Delete it. Keep your life simple. My fingers typed, "Sure, Thursday works," before my brain could stop them. I hit send and felt the crack widen into a chasm. Thursday came faster than I wanted. I arrived early, set up my gear under the same arch, told myself this was purely professional. Ethan showed up with his mom, a warm Vietnamese-American woman named Lon who hugged me like we were old friends. "You made my son look like a movie star in those first shots," she said, laughing. Ethan just grinned that same smile, and my stomach flipped again. We did the family portraits first, Ethan and his mom laughing together, arms around each other. Then she stepped aside so I could take a few solo ones. "Just us again," he said quietly once she was out of earshot. His voice had dropped, almost intimate. I adjusted the light, but my hand was steadier this time. Or maybe I was getting used to the feeling. We talked while I shot. He told me he was majoring in environmental science, heading to grad school in Seattle. I told him about my photography side hustle and my dream of shooting for National Geographic someday. Small talk, but it felt easy. Too easy. After his mom left, he lingered. "Hey, you want to grab coffee? I owe you for the extra session." I should have said no. Sarah was expecting me for dinner. Instead, I heard myself answer, "Sure, why not?" We walked to the campus cafe, ordered iced Americanos, and sat outside under an umbrella. He asked about my life in San Francisco, my family back in Ohio. I kept it surface level, but something in his eyes made me want to tell him more. When he laughed at one of my dumb jokes, that smile hit me again, softer this time, and I felt my chest loosen in a way it never had with Sarah. That night, I edited the new photos until 2 a.m. Sarah had fallen asleep on the couch. I zoomed in on Ethan's face once more and realized I was smiling back at the screen like an idiot. The next day, I texted him the link to the gallery. He replied instantly, "These are incredible. You captured something I didn't even know was there. Thank you, seriously." The message sat on my phone for hours. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I went for a run, trying to sweat out the confusion. But every stride just brought his smile back. A week later, he texted again. "Graduation's in 10 days. Any chance you're free for the ceremony? I'd love some candid shots. Off the books, just for me." I had other work lined up. I said yes anyway. Sarah noticed I was distracted. "You've been weird lately," she said over breakfast. "Everything okay at work?" I lied again, blamed deadlines. The guilt gnawed at me, but the pull toward Ethan was stronger. I told myself it was just admiration, a crush that would fade. Deep down, I knew better. The chasm was widening, and I was already falling. Graduation day arrived hot and bright. I stood at the edge of the quad with my camera blending into the crowd of proud parents and flashing phones. When Ethan crossed the stage, diploma in hand, his smile lit up the entire ceremony for me. I snapped hundreds of candids, him hugging his mom, high-fiving friends, tossing his cap. But every time he glanced my way, our eyes locked, and that same jolt hit me. Afterward, he found me. "Jake, you came." He pulled me into a quick hug, the kind guys give each other, but his hand lingered on my back. "These are going to be amazing. Want to walk with me? I need to return the gown." We strolled across campus, the noise of celebration fading behind us. He talked about his future in Seattle, how scared and excited he was. I listened, really listened, and for the first time I admitted to myself that I was jealous, not of his success, but of the life he seemed so comfortable living. We ended up at a quiet bench near the lake. "Can I see a few right now?" he asked. I handed him the camera. He scrolled through the images, stopping on one where he was laughing with his mom. "You make me look real," he said softly. Then he looked up at me. "You know, most people see the athlete, the straight-A guy. You see something else." His voice was quiet, almost vulnerable. My heart raced. I wanted to say something profound, but all I managed was, "That's what good photography does." The sun was setting when we finally parted. He hugged me again, longer this time. "Text me when you're done editing. I want to celebrate properly, maybe dinner." I nodded. Driving home, my phone buzzed. "Sarah, where are you?" "Dinner's cold." I felt sick with guilt, but the high from the day wouldn't fade. That night, I edited until dawn, and when I finally slept, I dreamed of Ethan's smile. The next week was torture. Sarah and I fought for the first time in months. Nothing huge, just little things that felt huge because my mind was elsewhere. I kept checking my phone for Ethan's texts. We messaged every day now. Memes, graduation stories, random thoughts. He sent a photo of himself in Seattle, house hunting. "Wish you could shoot this city for me," he wrote. I stared at it for an hour. The crack in my life had become a full fracture, and I was terrified of what lay on the other side. 2 weeks after graduation, Ethan invited me to San Francisco for a thank you dinner. I told Sarah it was a client meeting. She believed me, or at least pretended to. We met at a small Italian place near the waterfront. He looked even better in civilian clothes, jeans, buttoned down, that same effortless smile. Over pasta and wine we talked for hours. He told me about growing up with a single mom who worked 2 jobs, how he hid his own doubts about his future behind perfect grades. I opened up more than I meant to about my dad's expectations, the pressure to be the man of the family, how photography had been my quiet rebellion. At one point, he reached across the table and touched my wrist. "You're different, Jake. Most guys don't listen like you do." The touch lingered. My skin burned. When the check came, neither of us wanted the night to end. We walked along the Embarcadero, city lights glittering on the water. "I'm moving to Seattle in 3 weeks," he said suddenly. "But I keep thinking maybe I don't want to go alone." I stopped walking. The words hung between us. I could feel the moment stretching, the possibility of everything changing. "Ethan," my voice cracked. He waited, patient, that smile soft now, encouraging. I couldn't say it. Instead, I changed the subject, walked him to his car, and drove home in silence. Sarah was asleep when I got in. I sat on the couch in the dark, replaying every second. The truth was screaming inside me. I was falling for him. Hard. And I had no idea how to stop. The next days blurred. I finished his photos, sent the final gallery. His reply: "These are perfect. You're perfect at this. Dinner again before I leave." I said yes. Sarah confronted me that weekend. "You're distant. Is there someone else?" I denied it, but my face gave me away. We argued. She cried. I hated myself, but I couldn't stop the pull. Ethan and I met again, this time at a quiet bar. The conversation turned deeper. He admitted he'd been questioning things too. "I've never told anyone this," he said, voice low, "but I've never felt this way about a guy before. Until you." My world tilted. We didn't kiss. We didn't need to. The understanding passed between us like a current. When I got home, Sarah had packed a bag. "I can't do this anymore," she said. "Figure yourself out, Jake." The door closed behind her. I sat on the floor, shaking. The smile that started everything had now blown my life apart. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind of pain and clarity. Sarah moved out. My friends didn't understand. My mom called from Ohio, sensing something was wrong. I dodged her questions. Ethan was packing for Seattle, but he made time every day. Texts, calls, one last hike in Marin. On that hike, surrounded by redwoods and silence, he finally said it. "I'm in love with you, Jake. I know it's fast. I know it's scary. But that first smile you took, I felt it too. Like something clicked." I stood there on the trail, tears stinging my eyes. "I'm terrified," I whispered. "My family, my life, I don't know how to be this person." He took my hand. "You don't have to figure it out alone. Come with me to Seattle. Or don't. Just don't hide anymore." We kissed for the first time under the trees, tentative, then sure. It felt like coming home. But the world wasn't kind. A mutual friend from Stanford saw us together and spread rumors. Ethan's mom called him, confused but supportive. My dad found out through a cousin's social media post and left a voicemail that shattered me. "I didn't raise you this way. Don't come home." The betrayal from people I loved cut deep. I spent nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if one smile was worth losing everything. The turning point came the day before Ethan's move. I had to choose: stay in San Francisco, keep pretending, or risk it all for the man whose smile had rewritten my story. I packed a bag, booked a one-way ticket to Seattle, and showed up at his apartment with my camera. "I'm coming with you," I said. Not because it's easy, because for the first time, I'm not afraid of who I am. He pulled me inside, and we held each other for a long time. The psychological weight lifted slowly. Guilt, fear, shame, but the relief was real. I had sacrificed comfort for truth, and the man I'd become in that moment felt stronger than the boy who once froze behind a camera. Seattle greeted us with rain and possibility. We found a small apartment near the university, and I started freelancing again while Ethan began grad school. The first months were hard, adjusting to living together, navigating my family's silence, learning how to be openly gay in a new city. There were fights, tears, moments I almost packed up and ran back to the safety of denial. But every morning Ethan would smile at me over coffee, the same smile that started everything, and I remembered why I chose this. My dad eventually sent a short email. I'm trying to understand. Give me time. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was a door cracked open. Ethan's mom flew up for Thanksgiving and hugged me like a son. Slowly, the pieces of my new life fit together. I photographed our first Christmas tree, our hikes in the Cascades, the quiet moments that mattered most. My camera, once a shield, became a mirror showing the man I was becoming. Honest, scared sometimes, but finally free. 1 year later, on the anniversary of that graduation shoot, Ethan handed me a small box. Inside was a printed photo of that very first smile, framed simply. "You changed everything with one click," he said. I laughed through tears. "No, you changed everything with one smile." We stood on our balcony overlooking the city lights, his arm around me. The journey hadn't been clean or easy. There had been misunderstanding, sacrifice, the sting of prejudice and family rejection. But the growth was undeniable. I had learned that love doesn't wait for permission or perfect timing. It arrives in the most ordinary moments: a graduation photo, a shared laugh, a trembling hand on a camera. And once it does, the only real choice is to follow it, even when the path looks impossible. In the end, that single smile didn't just break my old life. It built a better one. After everything I went through, I realized love doesn't follow the rules we're taught or the labels we hide behind. It shows up when you least expect it, often in something as simple as a smile, and forces you to choose between fear and truth. The road is messy. Family may pull away, friends may not understand, and doubt will whisper at night. But the freedom of living honestly is worth every tear and every sacrifice. Don't wait for the world to approve before you follow your heart. The person you become on the other side is the one you were always meant to be.